The massive display screen in the United Earth Defense Command Center blinked to life, showing a sight that humanity had both dreamed of and feared for centuries. Alien ships, dozens of them, had appeared just beyond the moon's orbit. Their designs were sleek and beautiful, all curved lines and glowing energy fields. James Walker stood at attention, his military uniform pressed perfectly, watching as the first transmission from the alien fleet came through. His grip tightened on the ceremonial pistol at his hip, a symbol of his position as Earth's military representative. People of Earth, the alien message began, displaying in perfect English. We are representatives of the Galactic Council. Your civilization has reached the threshold for first contact. We come in peace. 3 days later, Walker found himself aboard the Council's flagship, walking through corridors that seemed to be made of flowing light. 2 guards escorted him, their energy rifles humming softly. Walker noticed they kept glancing at his pistol with what looked like amusement in their large silver eyes. The council chamber was enormous. 12 different alien species sat in elevated seats, looking down at the human representative. Most had evolved far beyond the need for conventional weapons, their bodies augmented with biotechnology and energy manipulation devices. Admiral Gray, a tall being with iridescent skin, spoke first. "Welcome, Earth representative. We have reviewed your civilization's technological progress, most impressive for your young species. However," the alien paused, mandibles clicking in what Walker recognized as their version of a condescending smile. "We find some aspects of your military capability concerning." Walker stood straighter. "Concerning, Admiral. Yes, you still rely on projectile weapons. Primitive chemical propulsion to launch metal slugs." The Admiral's translator conveyed their tone perfectly, a mixture of pity and amusement. "Even your most advanced rifles use this outdated technology." A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing Earth's military forces in action. Marines training with rifles, tank battalions conducting exercises, and naval vessels launching missiles. "Look at this barbaric display," another council member said, their tentacles waving in apparent distress. "They don't even have basic energy shielding, yet they seek to join our defense forces." Walker felt his face grow hot, but years of diplomatic training kept his voice steady. "With respect, our weapons have served us well. They're reliable, effective, and effective." Admiral Gray interrupted. "Against what? Other primitive projectile weapons?" Observer 1, "Please demonstrate." A smaller alien stepped forward, raising their arm. A shield of pure energy formed in front of them, humming with power. "Your most powerful personal weapons cannot penetrate even our most basic defensive technology. This is why we classify Earth as a Level 2 civilization, barely above stone tools by our standards." Walker unholstered his pistol slowly, making sure none of the guards reacted badly. "This is our standard issue sidearm. Would you like to examine it?" The council members laughed, a strange chorus of clicks, whistles, and electronic tones. Admiral Gray waved a limb dismissively. "A museum piece. How many rounds can it fire? 20? 30? Our weapons draw power directly from zero-point energy fields. They never need reloading." "Sometimes the old ways have advantages that aren't immediately obvious," Walker said carefully, placing his pistol back in its holster. "We would be happy to demonstrate." "That won't be necessary," Admiral Gray cut him off. "Earth may join the Council as an observing member, but until you develop proper energy-based weapons, you cannot participate in joint defense operations. It would be embarrassing for all involved." Walker bowed slightly, swallowing his pride. "We understand. Earth thanks you for this opportunity." As he left the chamber, Walker overheard one council member speaking to another. "Can you imagine? Using explosions to launch chunks of metal. How did they even make it to space?" Walker smiled slightly. He had served in 3 wars on Earth and knew something these advanced beings seemed to have forgotten. Sometimes the simplest solution was the best one, and sometimes Being underestimated was the greatest advantage of all. He had a feeling they would learn this lesson soon enough. 2 weeks after the council meeting, Earth's largest military testing ground buzzed with activity. Dr. Marcus stood at the firing range, watching the alien observers set up their measuring equipment. Their delicate machines floated in the air, scanning everything with beams of light. "Please understand," the lead alien observer said, adjusting his protective suit. "This is merely a formality. We don't expect to find anything impressive." His name was impossible to pronounce, so the humans called him Blue, after his skin color. Marcus picked up an assault rifle from the demonstration table. "You might be surprised. We've brought out a variety of weapons for today's demonstration, everything from handguns to our newest railgun prototype." The aliens exchanged looks that Marcus had learned meant amusement. Their silver eyes sparkled as they set up force field sensors and energy reading devices that looked more like art pieces than scientific equipment. "Shall we begin?" Marcus asked, loading the rifle with practiced ease. Blue waved a four-fingered hand. "Please, show us these. What did you call them?" "Bullets." Marcus took aim at the target downrange. The rifle cracked 3 times, and 3 holes appeared in the center of the target. The aliens jumped at the noise, their protective suits automatically creating energy shields around them. "How primitive," one of the observers shouted over the ringing in their sensitive ears. "Using explosions next to your heads. It's a wonder humans haven't gone extinct." Marcus kept his patience. "The noise can be managed with suppressors. Would you like to see our larger caliber weapons?" "Larger?" Blue asked. "You mean you make the metal pieces bigger?" "Much bigger." Marcus walked over to a covered weapon. He pulled back the tarp, revealing a .50 caliber sniper rifle. The aliens stepped back. "This is barbaric," one whispered to another. "They're still using chemical propulsion, just scaled up." Marcus lined up a shot. The rifle boomed, and the target a kilometer away exploded in a shower of splinters. The aliens' instruments went crazy, trying to measure the kinetic energy released. "Interesting readings," Blue admitted, studying his floating display. "But completely impractical. Our personal shields would stop such attacks easily." "Observe." Blue pressed a button on his suit. A shimmering field appeared in front of him. "Please, Dr. Marcus, fire at the shield." Marcus hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. Our basic shield technology can withstand direct hits from energy weapons many times more powerful than your primitive rifles." Marcus shrugged and picked up a standard military handgun. He aimed carefully at the center of the shield and fired once. The bullet splashed against the energy field, leaving a ripple pattern but doing no damage. "You see," Blue said smugly, "useless against modern defenses." "Try the rifle," another observer suggested, clearly enjoying the demonstration of their superiority. Marcus switched back to the large rifle. This time, when he fired, something unexpected happened. The bullet's massive kinetic energy created a strange distortion in the shield. While it didn't penetrate, the aliens' instruments screamed with warnings. "Energy fluctuation detected," one observer reported, suddenly serious. "Shield stability dropped to 82% for 0.3 seconds. Blue waved this away. "A minor anomaly. Nothing more." But Marcus noticed he turned off his shield rather quickly. The rest of the day continued similarly. The aliens documented everything with their advanced equipment, making dismissive comments about outdated technology and wasteful design. They seemed especially amused by the need to carry ammunition. "Imagine," Blue said to his team as they packed up, "having to carry your weapon's power source in small metal containers. How inconvenient." Marcus watched them leave, remembering something his old drill sergeant used to say. "Sometimes the simplest solution hits hardest." He looked down at the data pad the aliens had left behind, showing their shield analysis. The energy fluctuation readings were interesting, very interesting indeed. He needed to show this to Walker right away. Maybe humanity's primitive weapons weren't as useless as the Council thought. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council started with chaos. Holographic displays showed burning space stations and destroyed ships floating in the void. Walker sat in Earth's observer seat, watching the panic unfold. Another colony lost. Admiral Gray's voice boomed across the chamber. The fourth this month. These pirates grow bolder with each attack. The main display showed footage from the latest raid. Ships with black hulls appeared from nowhere, their shields glowing with strange purple energy. Energy weapons from the Council's defense forces splashed harmlessly against these shields. "Our best weapons do nothing," a council member said, their tentacles twisting in distress. "These new shields they're using. They absorb our energy attacks and grow stronger." Walker leaned forward, studying the footage carefully. Dr. Marcus sat beside him, taking notes on a simple paper pad, something that had earned them more mockery from the council members. "Look there," Marcus whispered, pointing at the screen. "See how their shields ripple, just like in our tests." The council chamber erupted in arguments. Species that had been peaceful for centuries now faced an enemy they couldn't stop. The pirates weren't just raiding anymore. They were destroying entire colonies. "We've lost contact with the mining outpost in System 847. An aide reported, rushing into the chamber. Early reports indicate all defenders were killed. The pirates didn't even need to land. They just sat in orbit and let our weapons bounce off their shields." Walker stood up, waiting to be recognized. Admiral Gray noticed and waved a limb tiredly. "Yes, Earth Observer. Do you have something to add to this crisis?" "A question, actually," Walker said. "Have you tried anything besides energy weapons against these shields?" The council chamber went quiet. Admiral Gray's iridescent skin flickered with annoyance. "Observer Walker, this is hardly the time to promote your outdated technology. These pirates have shields that can resist our most powerful energy cannons." "That's not what I asked," Walker pressed. "Have you tried physical weapons? Missiles? Kinetic strikes?" "Don't be ridiculous," Blue spoke up from his technical advisor's seat. "If our advanced energy weapons can't penetrate these shields, how could primitive projectiles help?" Marcus stood up next to Walker, holding up his datapad. "Because energy shields don't work the same way against physical objects. Remember the test. Even your basic shield showed fluctuations when hit with enough kinetic force." The council members began talking all at once. Admiral Gray raised all four arms for silence. "Are you suggesting we fight space pirates with bullets?" "Why not?" Walker asked. "They've clearly found a way to defend against energy weapons. They're probably not expecting anything else." "Impossible," Blue declared. "The logistics alone make it impractical. Carrying solid ammunition in space. The fuel costs to move that much mass. No, this is not the solution." Another alert sounded. More pirate ships had appeared, this time threatening a major council world. On the display, energy beams bounced harmlessly off the purple shields. Walker watched the footage carefully. "Look at their attack pattern. They're not worried about taking hits. They just sit there, letting energy weapons splash off their shields. They've never had to dodge." "An interesting observation," one of the older council members said slowly. "They do seem overconfident." Marcus pulled up more data from the weapons test. "Their shield technology must work like yours, designed specifically to stop energy attacks. But every shield has a weakness." Admiral Gray's skin had turned a darker shade, showing deep thought. "You really think your projectile weapons might work?" "Only one way to find out," Walker said. "Earth's factories could modify our weapons for space combat quickly. Let us try. What do you have to lose?" The chamber fell silent as another emergency signal flashed. More pirate ships had appeared in 3 other systems. Admiral Gray looked at the burning colonies on the display screens, then back at Walker. Their previous mockery had been replaced by desperate hope. "Very well," the Admiral said. Show us what these primitive weapons of yours can do. The Council's main testing facility orbited a gas giant far from the pirate raids. Walker stood before the gathered aliens, a simple metal case on the table in front of him. Dr. Marcus worked behind him, setting up their demonstration. 2 days ago, Walker began, you laughed at our weapons. Today, we're going to show you why that was a mistake. The room had changed since their first meeting. Gone were the dismissive smirks and clicking mandibles. Now, even Admiral Gray watched with desperate attention as another colony burned on the news feeds. Our weapons work differently than yours, Marcus explained, opening the case. Inside lay what looked like a very large bullet, nearly as long as his arm. We don't try to overpower shields. We punch through them. Blue stepped forward, his silver eyes fixed on the projectile. Impossible. The energy requirements to penetrate modern shields. That's just it, Walker interrupted. We don't use energy. Look at this footage. The room's holographic display showed a pirate attack from yesterday. Marcus pointed at the purple shields. See how they absorb energy. The more you shoot, the stronger they get. But watch what happens when space debris hits them. The video zoomed in. A small rock, probably from a destroyed ship, struck a pirate vessel's shield. For a split second, the shield rippled differently. Physical objects interact with energy shields in unique ways, Marcus explained. The shields have to choose. Either let the object through or use massive energy to stop it. Small objects like dust aren't a threat, so the shields let them pass. Larger ones require shield power to deflect. Admiral Gray's skin flickered with interest. And your weapons? Walker picked up the large bullet. This is a prototype space cannon round, designed to hit shields at speeds they can't ignore, but with mass they can't easily stop. The pirates expect energy weapons, so they built defenses against them. They never expected anyone to shoot bullets in space. But the logistics, Blue started to argue, are already solved. Marcus cut in. He pressed a button, showing designs for a new weapon. This ship-mounted railgun uses electromagnetic force to launch projectiles. No chemical propellant needed in space. One shot carries the kinetic energy of a small nuclear blast, but it's just a piece of metal. You can't absorb or redirect it. You either stop it or get hit. The council members muttered among themselves. Walker could see the change in their attitudes. Fear of the pirates had replaced their technological arrogance. How quickly can you produce these weapons? Admiral Gray asked. We've already started, Walker said. Earth's factories are working around the clock. We can arm a small fleet within a week, but we need your help to modify our ships for space combat. A human fleet? One council member asked nervously. Using projectile weapons in space. Unless you prefer to watch more colonies burn, Walker replied quietly. The room fell silent. On the news feeds, another distress call showed pirates attacking a civilian transport. Their purple shields glowed as they shrugged off the defenders' energy weapons. Admiral Gray stood up. I never thought I'd say this, but Earth's primitive weapons might be exactly what we need. A solution so old it's new again. We'll need a test, Blue said quickly. A controlled demonstration before we commit to this plan. Agreed, Walker said. He nodded to Marcus, who brought up more designs. We've modified a small corvette with our new weapons. Let us prove they work. And if they don't? Admiral Gray asked. Walker looked at the burning ships on the display. Then we're no worse off than we are now. But if we're right. He picked up the large bullet again. The pirates are about to learn that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The council voted immediately. Earth would have its test, and humanity would have its chance to prove that their primitive weapons still had a place in the galaxy. As Walker left the chamber, he heard Admiral Gray muttering, "Bullets in space. What has the galaxy come to?" Commander Tom Reed sat in the captain's chair of the Earth ship Thunder, watching his radar screen. The modified corvette hung in space near a mining colony, waiting. Behind him, A council observer team monitored their new weapons with a mix of doubt and hope. Pirates detected. His sensor officer called out. 3 ships, coming in fast. Same shield configuration as previous attacks. Reed nodded, keeping his voice calm. All hands to battle stations. Load the rail guns. The Thunder looked different from other council ships. Where they had elegant energy weapons, the Thunder bristled with what looked like giant gun barrels. Each one could launch a massive metal projectile at speeds that made light look slow. Pirates are broadcasting their usual message, communications reported. They're demanding surrender. Let them think we're just another easy target, Reed ordered. Hold position. The pirate ships grew closer. Their black hulls seemed to swallow the starlight, and their purple shields glowed with absorbed energy as the mining colony's defensive weapons fired uselessly at them. Blue, watching from the observer's station, shook his head. This is suicide. We should retreat while we can. Not yet, Reed said. Wait for it. The pirates drew closer, clearly not worried about the single corvette. They'd destroyed dozens of ships like this one. Their shields could handle any energy weapon in the galaxy. They're in range, weapons reported. Reed smiled. Let's show them something new. All guns, fire. The Thunder's rail guns roared to life. There was no sound in space, but the whole ship shuddered as electromagnetics hurled metal projectiles at the approaching pirates. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The lead pirate ship's purple shield flared brilliantly as the first round struck it. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the shield rippled, distorted, and a small hole appeared. Through that hole shot the depleted uranium round, smashing into the pirate ship's hull at incredible speed. Direct hit, weapons shouted. Enemy ship showing hull breach. The pirate ships broke formation, clearly shocked. They'd never seen shields fail like this before. The second volley from Thunder's guns caught another ship as it tried to turn. This time, everyone watched as the round punched straight through the purple shield and out the other side of the vessel. Impossible, one of the pirates screamed over the open channel. Their weapons, they're going through our shields. Third target attempting to flee, sensors reported. Not today, Reed said calmly. All guns, final target. The Thunder's guns spoke one last time. The fleeing pirate ship's shields flashed purple, then failed completely as metal rounds tore through them. The ship spun helplessly, its engines destroyed. Blue stared at his readings in shock. The kinetic energy, it's too much for their shields to handle. They're designed to absorb and redirect energy weapons, but these solid rounds. Sometimes the old ways are best, Reed said, standing up. Dispatch rescue ships for survivors. I want prisoners to question. The Council observation team huddled around their instruments, checking and rechecking the data. The entire battle had lasted less than 5 minutes. 3 pirate ships, previously thought invincible, lay broken in space. The mining colony is safe, communications reported. They're asking what kind of weapons we used. They've never seen shields fail like that. Reed looked at Blue. Still think bullets are primitive. The alien's silver eyes were wide. I must report this to the Council immediately. If we can replicate these weapons across the fleet. Earth's factories are already working, Reed said. We can arm your ships, train your crews. All you have to do is admit that sometimes the simplest solution is the right one. As rescue ships approached the disabled pirate vessels, Reed watched the Council observers sending urgent messages back home. The age of looking down on primitive human weapons was over. Now the real war could begin. 1 month after the Thunder's successful battle, Earth's largest shipyard buzzed with activity. Dozens of Council ships lined the docks, their elegant hulls being fitted with what many had recently mocked, human-designed railguns and projectile weapons. Walker watched from an observation deck as workers installed a massive gun on a Council battleship. Beside him, Admiral Gray's skin flickered with colors that showed both embarrassment and excitement. I never thought I'd see this, the Admiral admitted. Our most advanced ships, being upgraded with technology we called primitive. 17 pirate ships destroyed in the past month, Walker replied. 0 council ships lost. The numbers speak for themselves. Below them, Dr. Marcus led a group of alien engineers through the inspection of a new weapon design. It looked like a giant shotgun made for space combat, designed to fire clouds of small projectiles that could overwhelm shield systems. The pirates are running scared, Blue said, joining them at the window. His previous mockery had been replaced by genuine respect. Their shields can't handle physical impacts. They never expected anyone to use such direct methods. A holographic display showed footage from recent battles. Council ships, now armed with railguns, smashed through the once invincible purple shields. The pirates' greatest advantage had become useless overnight. We're getting requests from every council world, Walker said, checking his datapad. Everyone wants Earth weapons now. Our factories can barely keep up. And to think, Admiral Gray said, mandibles clicking in amusement, just 2 months ago, we called your civilization primitive. Now our entire defense force depends on your technology. The observation deck shook slightly as engineers tested a new weapon below. The railgun's magnetic coils hummed with power, launching a test projectile into a special catching range. Look there, Marcus called out, pointing to a different dock. A group of council weapon designers worked alongside human engineers, combining energy weapon technology with projectile launchers. They're already developing hybrid weapons, energy fields to guide kinetic projectiles, the best of both worlds. The pirates tried to attack the Centauri colony yesterday, Blue reported, bringing up more footage. They turned and ran as soon as they saw the railguns. Their shields may absorb energy, but they've learned to fear solid metal. Walker smiled, remembering the Council's first reaction to human weapons, sometimes the old ways. Yes, Admiral Gray interrupted, skin flickering with embarrassed colors. Sometimes the old ways are best. You don't need to remind us again. Below them, more Council ships arrived for upgrading. The elegant vessels would leave looking more aggressive, bristling with what their crews had once called museum pieces. But no one was laughing now. The pirates sent a message, Blue said, checking his communications. They're offering to negotiate. Apparently, they don't want to face any more ships armed with human weapons. Amazing how quickly things change, Walker observed, from primitive to feared in 2 months. Admiral Gray turned all 4 arms in a gesture of admission. We were wrong about Earth's technology. We became so focused on energy weapons, on elegant solutions, that we forgot the simple effectiveness of kinetic impact. A cheer went up from the testing range. The new hybrid weapon had passed its trials, combining Council energy fields with human projectile design. The result was more powerful than either technology alone. The Council has voted, Admiral Gray announced formally. Earth is being promoted to full member status. Your primitive weapons have earned humanity a place among the stars. Walker watched another railgun being fitted to a Council ship. Just remember, sometimes the simplest solution hits the hardest. As if to emphasize his point, another test firing shook the observation deck. Below them, Council engineers applauded as a projectile pierced a test shield that would have shrugged off their most powerful energy weapons. The age of looking down on human technology was officially over. 6 months after the first successful test of human weapons against the pirates, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. New Earth-designed security systems protected the room, including simple but effective metal shutters alongside the energy shields. At the center of the chamber, Walker stood on the speaking platform, now as a full Council member rather than a mere observer. Today marks the end of the pirate threat, he announced to the assembled aliens. The last pirate stronghold surrendered this morning when they saw our combined fleet approach. The chamber erupted in applause, a mix of clicking mandibles, waving tentacles, and flashing bioluminescence. On the main display, footage showed the final battle group. Council ships bristling with rail guns alongside Earth vessels, their hybrid weapons gleaming in the starlight. "Who would have thought," Admiral Gray said, rising to speak, "that our salvation would come from what we once mocked? Today, we don't just celebrate victory. We celebrate learning a valuable lesson in humility." Blue, now Earth's primary technical liaison, brought up statistical displays. In the past 6 months, pirate attacks have dropped by 98%. The combination of human kinetic weapons and Council energy technology has created the most effective defense force in our history. The displays showed more images, Council crews training on firing ranges, learning to use what they'd once called primitive weapons, engineering teams working together, combining the best of both worlds' technology. Even the Council Chamber's guards now carried modified versions of human firearms alongside their energy weapons. But the real change, Walker continued, isn't in our weapons. It's in our thinking. We've learned that progress doesn't always mean abandoning the old ways. Sometimes it means remembering why they worked in the first place. Dr. Marcus stepped up next, bringing up designs for the next generation of weapons. "We're developing new systems that no one could have created alone. Council energy technology, making human projectile weapons even more effective. Human targeting systems, improving Council energy weapon accuracy. We're stronger together than apart." The Chamber's mood had changed completely from that first meeting. Gone were the dismissive looks and mocking tones. Now, Council members watched Earth's representatives with respect and attention. "The pirates made one mistake," Admiral Gray said, their skin glowing with proud colors. "They assumed that advanced always meant better. They built their shields to handle our most sophisticated energy weapons, never thinking anyone would try something as simple as throwing metal at them very, very fast." Laughter filled the chamber, genuine this time, not mocking. Even the most senior Council members had learned to appreciate the elegant simplicity of human weapons. A side door opened, and Walker smiled as he saw another sight that would have been impossible 6 months ago. Admiral Gray walked into the Council's new firing range, picking up a modified human rifle with practiced ease. The Admiral's 4 arms had adapted well to Earth weapon designs. "I find target practice quite relaxing now," Gray admitted, taking aim at a holographic target. "Though I still don't understand why humans make the bang sound with their mouths when using the silent training weapons." Walker watched as more Council members tried the weapons. Species that had once relied purely on energy weapons now trained with everything from small arms to ship-mounted rail guns. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. "The galaxy is changing," Blue observed, standing beside Walker. "Thanks to Earth's primitive weapons, we're all safer, and perhaps a little wiser." "We learned something too," Walker replied. "Your energy technology made our weapons better than we could have imagined. Progress isn't about throwing away the old or blindly embracing the new. It's about finding what works, no matter where it comes from." Outside the chamber windows, a new class of patrol ship passed by. Its hull combined the elegant lines of Council design with the practical functionality of Earth engineering. Like the civilization that created it, it represented the best of both worlds. The ship's main gun gleamed in the starlight, a perfect fusion of the old and the new, created by a galaxy that had finally learned not to judge any technology as primitive. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor after all.